A Jamaican immigrant striving to build a better life for himself and his family is shockingly wounded. Was it gang activity, an accident, or mistaken identity? Who would want to harm the well-liked and admired father? What happened to Omar Murray? What happens when love becomes fatal? This is the Fatal Attraction Podcast with Without Warning.
He was a hardworking immigrant, striving for a better life.
He was just a hardworking individual, took care of his mom, took care of his family.
With a new wife and baby at home, all his hard work was worth it.
He'd literally break his back just to make ends meet, to make her happy. The sky was the limit.
But it all comes crashing down.
They shot the guy 3 times in his house.
He was bleeding out.
Was he an innocent victim of a violent neighborhood?
The crime rate was through the roof.
It might be a home invasion that went bad, so they don't really know what's going on.
The investigation will soon reveal a deadly web of deception.
We never knew anything. I couldn't believe it.
You have somebody who is highly motivated to lie because his very life depends on it.
February 24th, 2013. It's Sunday afternoon in Brooklyn's Brownsville neighborhood. But this struggling community is far from quiet.
There's a lot of robberies, a lot of drugs, a lot of gangs, probably the highest crime rate in New York City.
There were murders, shootings during the daytime. It was just not a very safe neighborhood.
This Sunday is no exception.
911 emergency.
The caller identifies herself as Alicia Noel Murray and says someone has shot her husband, Omar Murray.
She says that there were shots fired inside her residence.
After she heard the shots fired, she did go to the stairs to see what was going on. And she saw her husband's body laying downstairs in the foyer bleeding.
When the dispatcher asks Alicia if Omar is breathing, she isn't sure. She says she hid with the couple's baby after seeing Omar lying on the ground.
She locked herself in away from the front door because she wasn't sure if the person was coming up the steps.
She thinks somebody's in the house with a gun.
She was scared. And you heard every bit of that fear over that phone call.
Police race to the scene and arrive to find 37-year-old Omar Murray severely wounded.
They find our victim, Omar, lying with 3 gunshot wounds into his chest.
He was bleeding out.
In 1995, when 19-year-old Jamaican immigrant Omar Murray came to the U.S., he poured everything he had into building a better life for his family.
He was a very loving man, very giving, very thoughtful, very caring, humble, and ambitious. Like he wanted to do his best so he can support his family.
He was the oldest of his siblings, and he took care of his mom, took care of his family, just a hardworking individual.
He was an ironworker. Since he came to the States, he's been in the same line of work. Over 15 years he's been doing that job.
Omar also knew how to enjoy himself.
He was the life of the party. He was always such a warm individual, big smile.
When he shows up, it's like he just brightens up the room and is always smiling, laughing, making jokes.
However, in 2007, hard times fell on Omar when he and his wife of 10 years decided to separate.
His first marriage just didn't work out. They didn't get a divorce.
After the divorce, Omar needed a fresh start, so he moved in with his mother to get back on his feet. That's when he met 20-year-old Alicia Noel.
Hey!
Hey!
How are you?
I'm doing well. You must be Omar.
Yes,
Alicia and Omar, they met on the same block. They were kind of like, they were adults, but it was like girl next door kind of situation. And they struck up some kind of conversation.
I used to come outside sometimes and see them talking, but I didn't think anything of it at first.
They used to see each other back and forth. From that sort of warm experience, they started to have a relationship.
It didn't take long for Omar to fall for Alicia.
It evolved very quickly just because of seeing each other every day.
Alicia represented a fresh start for Omar after his divorce.
I've never seen him actually like so happy. Seeing him like connect with someone.
Alicia was just as smitten with Omar. And despite their difference in age, the couple had no trouble forging their bond.
They had a great time together. They used to go out, they used to travel together.
To Omar's family, Alicia was a perfect fit for him.
She'd be in the house, she would be talking to my mom. We trusted her, and she started to become family.
In 2009, the romance between Omar and Alicia was burning bright and showed no signs of fizzling out.
They got engaged within the first 6 months of even dating.
This was the woman of his dreams, the best thing that's ever happened to him.
Omar and Alicia married in August of 2010.
The wedding was really good. A lot of family came. We all had a great time. They seemed really, really happy.
He was absolutely in love with his wife, and she was in love with him.
It wasn't long before Omar and Alicia had another reason to celebrate.
Shortly after they tied the knot, Alicia got pregnant and gave birth to Omar's daughter. He was very happy to be a new dad.
This guy's a family guy. He loved his kids.
With Omar making good money as an iron worker and Alicia as a registered nurse, to make sure they had room for their growing family, the couple bought a $500,000 townhouse in Brownsville.
It was a nice two-family house where they were able to rent out the downstairs.
The both of them were hardworking young people.
Alicia and Omar had created a perfect life together. But a violent attack will rob them of their fairy tale ending when on February 24th, 2013, Alicia Noel Murray notifies police that her husband has been shot.
She was very emotional.
They trying to talk to her to figure out what's going on.
EMTs rush to save Omar's life as detectives collect more information from Alicia.
She saw Omar lying with 3 gunshot wounds into his chest, a lot of blood.
While Omar fights for his life, police begin the investigation into what happened.
The clock is ticking for Omar.
Was Omar Murray in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was he a target?
We are on the verge of finding out what happened to beloved dad Omar Murray. Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
With a new home and a new baby, 2013 appeared to start off perfectly for Omar and Alicia Murray.
It seemed like it was a good time for them in their marriage.
Now, on the afternoon of February 24th, the NYPD have just found Omar in the foyer of the couple's Brooklyn townhouse, bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds.
He's still breathing. EMS takes him and they bring him to Brookdale Hospital for treatment.
While the doctors work to save Omar, detectives are questioning Alicia about what she witnessed.
When the detectives got on the scene, Alicia sounded like she was afraid.
Alicia tells detectives that Omar had just returned home when he was attacked.
He was going to pick up groceries to cook dinner. When he came back, she saw him coming into the house from the car.
Alicia states she walked away from the window to meet Omar at the door, and that's when she heard gunshots. Alicia says once she heard the shots, she looked down the stairs and saw Omar laid out on the floor, then hid with her daughter in the back bedroom. Police ask Alicia if she knows who might be responsible, but she claims Omar was well-liked and didn't have problems with anyone that she knew of.
He's just a really amazing person. One of a kind in a very positive way. No negativity came from that man.
After getting Alicia's statement, officers escort her to the hospital while detectives continue their investigation.
They come now process the crime scene. They're looking for these spent casings, a fingerprint, a shoe print, or anything that they can get to help them solve this crime.
Crime scene investigators don't locate any shell casings, and there are too many fingerprints to get a clean lift. But they do see something that might provide some answers.
They do see that there's cameras at this location, at the victim's house.
They seem to be brand new security cameras. They, of course, go to check the cameras, but they weren't working.
Detectives note the wire supplying power to the cameras was unplugged. Was this an oversight, or was it intentional? Detectives now turn to the surrounding neighborhood for possible witnesses.
They're gonna canvass the area, they're gonna knock on doors.
You look for possible witnesses that may have seen something that happened.
While neighbors claim to have heard the shots, none of them saw the shooter.
It can be a very rough neighborhood. There's gunshots every day, every night.
People hear it so often, it's almost like they get accustomed to it.
Detectives consider another possibility. With the neighborhood a hotspot for gang activity, perhaps residents were afraid of retaliation.
In the Brownsville section, you had the Bloods, you had the Crips, and they all had their territorial areas.
Had Omar been caught in the crossfire of rival gangs?
As detectives, you'd start with the most logical, which would be a push and robbery, a home invasion, because it's common in that particular area.
Based on the evidence so far, that doesn't appear to be the case.
There was nothing stolen from the house.
With a robbery ruled out, detectives move on to the next possibility, that Omar was targeted. While detectives wait for word on Omar's status, they dig into his background.
Has he been involved with other gang members? Or has he potentially done things to other people that would warrant someone else to come and do this to him?
Their database finds no evidence of criminal activity.
Omar didn't have any ties to any gangs. He didn't have a criminal record that would cause somebody to want to do him harm directly, like a vengeance kind of thing.
He wasn't the type of guy to have problems with anyone on the streets. He's very cautious, very street aware, street smarts. Where he grew up was rough. My brother's not the type of guy to even get caught up into something like that.
He's a hardworking man, makes good money, a good family man, well-liked in the community. So what's the motive here?
At this point, the police are like, well, who could have possibly have done this to this guy?
The case becomes more urgent when detectives receive word from the hospital that Omar Murray has died. When police deliver the sad news to Omar's family, they're devastated.
I fell down and started crying. I was on my knees. We were really close. And so I was out of it. Really heartbroken, man.
As the family grieves, detectives, now investigating a homicide, catch what they hope is a break in the case.
Police just happened to find a camera in front of a business.
Unlike the cameras in the Murray home, this one was fully functional, and detectives have their first look at the killer.
We are on the verge of finding out what happened to beloved dad Omar Murray. Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Huddle up. It's me, Angel Reese. You can't beat the post-game burger and fries, right? Know what else you can't beat? The Angel Reese Special. Let's break it down. My favorite barbecue sauce, American cheese, crispy bacon, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun, of course. And don't forget the fries and a drink. It's gonna be a high C for me. Sound good? All you have to do to get it is beat me in a one-on-one. I'm just playing. Get the Angel Reese special at McDonald's now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating restaurants for a limited time.
Brooklyn detectives investigating the murder of 37-year-old Omar Murray have just made a crucial discovery.
The police are scouring the neighborhood, trying to find some type of footage, and they just happen to find a camera in front of a business nearby.
They find one that's able to capture the street and our victim's home.
Detectives bring the footage down to the precinct for review, and what they find shines a new light on the case.
On the day in question, you have Omar going out. You see Omar leave.
The timestamp on the footage is consistent with what Omar's wife Alicia told detectives, that Omar left at approximately 12:15. A few minutes later, after Omar leaves, detectives see a dark-colored sedan pull up to the Murray residence.
It just stops, and then you see a person get out the car and walk in the same direction of where the house is.
On the video, the man walks up to the entryway of the building. Detectives note that the man is easily able to enter the building as if he has a key. At 12:43 p.m., the same car pulls up outside the apartment building a second time.
The car comes back before Omar gets home.
This time, a different man gets out of the car and walks right into the entryway.
They're looking at that video from across the street. They find a taller male that goes into the residence.
Then, 13 minutes later, Omar comes home. Moments after Omar enters the building, the taller man is seen leaving.
When the person is leaving the house, they're running back to the car.
To detectives, the video evidence leaves little doubt that this is Omar Murray's killer. Luckily, detectives are able to identify the man in the video as Kirk Porteous, a man well known to police.
Kirk Porteous was this known gang member.
People know who he is. He's a Crip. He's a bad guy. He's an enforcer in the street.
Detectives begin to suspect Omar may have had some skeletons in his closet. Was this hard-working family man harboring a deadly secret?
You gotta start thinking, is it someone that he owed money to? What's going on?
Detectives also need to find out the identity of the man who went in the house before Kirk Porteous. Whoever he is, he obviously had been to the Murray residence before.
You're starting to think, is it someone that knew Omar?
After identifying Porteous, detectives send out an APB for the known gang member. Then ask Omar's widow Alicia to come in for an interview to see if she can shed light on this mystery man.
Thank you for coming in today.
Did you find out who killed Omar?
We think so, but we have a few questions.
The detectives begin by asking Alicia about the home security system.
The cameras in the foyer were not hooked up. Any idea why?
I had no idea they weren't working. Omar usually handles those things. He installed them recently.
So they were new?
Yes, he bought them after what happened.
They ask, why are these cameras disconnected? So they lean on her, and the bomb drops. Someone had taken shots at Omar once before.
Alicia tells detectives the incident occurred on February 6th, less than 3 weeks before the murder.
Omar was outside, somewhat adjacent to the front of the house.
Some unknown person came out, fired rounds.
Omar escaped the hail of bullets and got in the house and screamed for Alicia, saying, "Somebody's shooting at me."
Alicia tells detectives after the shooting, Omar became increasingly paranoid.
He would circle the block like 3 times just to make sure no one's following him or anything.
According to Alicia, in addition to the cameras, Omar had also purchased a revolver. She also claims she doesn't know where Omar kept the gun. Switching gears, detectives hope Alicia will recognize the man who seemed to unlock the door for Kirk Porteous.
They show her this footage of these 2 men going in the house.
When Alicia sees the footage, she's shocked to recognize one of the 2 men.
When they question Alicia about this, she says, I have no idea who the taller gentleman is, but I know the other guy.
Yes, I know him.
She's like, oh, I don't recognize this guy, but this guy over here, that's Damien Lavelle. We've been having an affair.
We are on the verge of finding out what happened to beloved dad Omar Murray. Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Huddle up. It's me, Angel Reese. You can't beat the post-game burger and fries, right? Know what else you can't beat? The Angel Reese Special. Let's break it down. My favorite barbecue sauce, American cheese, crispy bacon, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun, of course. And don't forget the fries and a drink. It's gonna be a high C for me. Sound good? All you have to do to get it is beat me in a one-on-one. I'm just playing. Get the Angel Reese Special at McDonald's now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating restaurants for a limited time.
NYPD detectives investigating Omar Murray's murder have just ID'd the second of two men they believe to be responsible for the 37-year-old's death, a man named Damien Lavelle. And what's more, Omar's wife, Alicia Noel Murray, is the one to identify him.
We believe he has a key to your home. How would he have that?
He was remodeling a lower unit for us, so we gave him a key. I should also tell you, he and I were involved.
She admits that she was having an affair with Damien. And now the police are like, whoa, what's going on here?
Did Omar know?
No, he was too busy to notice.
When pressed by detectives, Alicia reveals her affair with Damien was in response to Omar's own infidelity.
She found out that he was cheating just before they got married.
But Alicia forgave him for it, and they still moved on and got married.
Though she tried to repair the relationship, Alicia says their marriage was far from perfect.
Those issues from before the marriage just continued into the marriage.
She finds out that he's cheating again.
Look, I was hurt and angry, but then I met Damien.
Alicia tells detectives the news had come at a difficult time for her.
She had just given birth, and it was a difficult pregnancy for her.
Alicia claims she first met Damien shortly before he started renovating the lower level of the Murray home.
They used to see each other often, or to be clear, he used to see her. At some point, he started speaking to her. Emotionally, she was needy. She wasn't feeling beautiful.
Alicia confesses, eventually the innocent flirtation became physical.
They became a little bit more intimate, and that's when the affair started.
According to Alicia, the renovation work provided the perfect cover.
He's downstairs fixing up the drywall. She's upstairs, and as soon as Omar leaves for the day, they will get it on in the house.
After feeling both betrayed and neglected by Omar, Alicia relished the attention from Damien. Alicia also admits that as she became more angry with Omar, she began taking more chances with Damien.
She actually admitted that they'd have sex while Omar was upstairs in the house.
It was almost as if she wanted to get caught or she wanted to hurt him as much as she was hurt.
It wasn't something that she was proud of.
However, according to Alicia, she knew the affair wouldn't fix things with Omar.
She seems to be a little bit ashamed for even doing this.
She said that she wasn't leaving her husband. She said at that point she didn't want to be with Damien anymore.
Did you break it off with him?
Yes.
Well, how did he take it?
He didn't want to hear it.
He really wanted to be with her. They were going to be together.
As an investigator, you have to think that Damien must have done it because he wants to get rid of the husband.
Realizing her affair with Damien may have led to Omar's death, Alicia breaks down.
Oh my God. What have I done?
She believes it's her fault because she brought the guy into the house. So she's guilt-ridden.
Detectives press Alicia to give them any information she can on how to find Damien.
Alicia complies and she turns over all his contact information.
It's only a few hours before detectives are able to track Damien down and bring him in for questioning.
They're asking him all these questions about Alicia, Omar's murder, and he's looking like, I didn't do anything.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, maybe you could explain this.
They show him the video, and clearly he could see the jig's up. They got me. So he says, okay, I was having an affair with the wife.
We know that Porteous pulled the trigger and that you let him in.
What's he gonna do? And he tells him the whole story.
Damien admits that he'd hired Kirk Porteous to kill Omar Murray.
Kirk Porteous was this known gang member. He was known as that guy that would just do anything as long as you were paying.
How much did you pay him?
Deal was for $3,500. $500 up front.
Damien tells detectives he'd already paid Kirk $500. The remaining $3,000 had not been paid.
My brother's life got taken for like $500.
Kirk was going to murder a man, take away his life for $500. That's all he was getting.
Detectives now need one last piece of the puzzle before they can bring formal charges against Damien Lavelle and Kirk Porteous. Was Alicia Noel Murray involved? That's when Damien delivers a bombshell accusation against his lover.
Why did you do it?
For Alicia.
Because you were in love with her.
Yes. And because she told me to.
It was her idea, is what he told the police.
He says that she wanted to kill her husband. He's so in love with her that he's agreeing to commit murder.
We are on the verge of finding out what happened to beloved dad Omar Murray. Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Huddle up. It's me, Angel Reese. You can't beat the post-game burger and fries, right? Know what else you can't beat? The Angel Reese Special. Let's break it down. My favorite barbecue sauce, American cheese, crispy bacon, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun, of course. And don't forget the fries and a drink. It's gonna be a high C for me. Sound good? All you have to do to get it is beat me in a one-on-one. I'm just playing. Get the Angel Reese Special at McDonald's now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating restaurants for a limited time.
Damien Lavelle has just confessed to paying Kirk Porteous in a murder-for-hire plot to kill Omar Murray. But Damien claims he was acting on orders from his lover, Omar's wife, Alicia Noel Murray.
Damien tells police that one day when they had just finished having sex, Alicia was telling Damien about how she really needs to get rid of Omar. Alicia was gonna give Damien $3,500 to pull off the job.
Damien claims he was willing to go through the murder because of his feelings for Alicia.
He was in love with this woman. He knew he wanted to be with her. And hearing this particular idea, he was gonna go along with it. Anything she wanted, he wanted to do it for her.
He said that he thought that he and Alicia were going to ride off in the sunset together.
After his confession, detectives book Damien on murder charges and escort him to a holding cell. With Damien in custody, police redouble their efforts to find Kirk Porteous.
They start flooding the streets with officers.
But it's not until March 1st, 5 days after Omar's murder, that detectives are finally able to track Porteous down.
When police pick up Kirk, they're showing him all the evidence that they have against him.
They tell him, Damien's giving you up. We know it was you. They know he's the shooter.
He told us that he did it for Alicia.
Who?
Omar's wife.
News to me.
All Kirk can say is, I don't know any Alicia. I don't know who the guy is. It was just a simple job for him. It was nothing.
Kirk claims all he knows is who hired him and who the target was.
Damien's the one that said, hey, can you do this for me?
And you didn't ask why he did it?
Look, when the money's right, I don't ask any questions.
He says, I never met Alicia. I don't know this woman. Never had any conversations. I only had a conversation with Damien.
Detectives conclude their interview with Kirk Porteous and charge him with murder.
They had Damien and they had the shooter arrested 5 days after the murder.
Now detectives are left searching for proof that Alicia was part of the murder plot.
The police are getting accounts from Alicia, they're getting accounts from Damien, and the both of them, who are lovers, having an affair on a guy who is now dead, they're like, it wasn't me, it was that person. It wasn't me, it was that person. They needed to figure out what was going on here.
Detectives decide to apply a little pressure and reveal to Alicia that Damien claims the plan was all hers.
Thank you for coming back. We have some good news. We made an arrest on Damien. But we still have a few questions.
It's about something Damien told us.
Well, what did he say?
That you asked to put the hit on Omar.
What? No, that is a lie. Why would I put a hit on my husband, the father of my child?
She said, listen, I didn't do this. I had nothing to do with this.
She had no idea what Damien's plan was.
Alicia insists it was never her intention to have Omar killed.
She said, at the end of the day, they were trying to get their marriage back together again.
She should not have brought Damien into the house. But it never had anything to do with killing her husband.
The affair with Damien. It was her way of getting back at Omar.
I was angry with Omar, but I didn't want him killed.
Someone's lying. But is it Alicia or is it Damien?
Damien, in his mind, I think he begins to put something together about how he could have Omar's life.
If Alicia was really part of the murder plot, why would she identify Damien from the security footage? Why would she admit to the affair or the previous attempt on Omar's life?
It just doesn't make sense.
When you think about it, everything would point to Damien, that Damien orchestrated this whole thing by himself.
However, detectives aren't quite ready to write off Alicia as a suspect.
That's all we have for now.
They release Alicia and reach out to Omar's family to gain insight into the couple's marriage.
So once the police have all these different storylines about Alicia, Kirk, and Damien, they then decide to start back from square one. They go to the family. They want to talk to Omar's mom, his relatives.
The family admits that the couple had their share of problems.
My brother seemed like he was just over it. Like he just wasn't even there anymore. So I kind of had a feeling something was going on.
Omar's family tells detectives they never believed Omar was in danger.
I felt something was wrong, but I didn't say like anything. I just asked him if he was all right. He's like, yeah, I'm good.
The family had never heard of Damien Lavelle or Kirk Porteous.
The family are like, who are these people? We have no idea who they are.
Talking to the family still leaves detectives with more questions than answers.
Why would she be involved and why would she want her husband dead?
Looking for answers, detectives pull the couple's financial records and make an astounding discovery. Omar and Alicia Murray were drowning in debt.
The car payments are late, the mortgage is late.
The mortgage was over $500,000. They have other kind of bills that are just piling up.
Her credit cards were blown up, maxed out.
But could their financial struggles have been a motive for murder? After a little more digging, detectives discover there's one bill that the couple kept up to date.
They had 3 separate life insurance policies that totaled almost $900,000.
The sole beneficiary of those policies is Alicia Noel Murray. The possibility of collecting almost $1 million upon Omar's death may have been too tempting for Alicia.
$900,000 would set her record straight. She would just be debt-free.
But is Alicia really cold-blooded enough to kill her husband for money? Or was Damien Lavelle pulling the strings? Detectives may have an answer when they contact the insurance companies.
February 24th is the murder. On February 26th, 2 days after, her husband's shot, and she's trying to get the money.
We are on the verge of finding out what happened to beloved dad Omar Murray. Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Detectives investigating the murder of Omar Murray have arrested two men, gunman Kirk Porteous and the man who confessed to hiring him, Damien Lavelle. Detectives now believe they've also uncovered a possible motive for Alicia Noel Murray's involvement in the crime. Almost $1 million worth of life insurance on Omar.
The detectives call up and freeze those accounts until our investigation is done. And she wasn't able to get that money.
With the insurance payout on hold, investigators continue searching for evidence that can confirm Damien's story.
The police get the phone records from Alicia.
Combing through the phone records, detectives hit the jackpot.
They were able to obtain text messages, which were incriminating.
Police started decoding everything and looking at timestamps and realized that, hey, this was a joint venture between Damien and Alicia.
She was definitely involved in orchestrating this crime.
According to the text messages, Alicia was eager for Damien to follow through on the murder.
Alicia consistently would reach out to Damien and said, "Are you gonna do it today? Are you gonna do it today?"
Finally, that day came on February 24th, 2013. According to the phone records, Alicia sent Damien a text at 12:17, moments after Omar had left the house.
She's telling him that Omar is going to the supermarket.
The moment that they saw her text Damien while Omar was out the house, that was it. They knew that this was the moment.
Detectives place Alicia Noel Murray under arrest for murder in December of 2015.
Alicia was indicted for the first-degree murder of her husband.
I was happy. I would just want a revenge, man. It was just like an eye for an eye type of feeling.
On May 15th, 2017, Alicia and Kirk Porteous, the alleged triggerman, both go on trial for Omar's murder.
It was really interesting to see the two of them at the defense table together. They didn't know each other, and they really had no relationship with each other.
The man who connects them, Damien Lavelle, is the prosecution's star witness.
He said that she was the mastermind.
On the stand, Damien Lavelle admits that he arranged the first attempt on Omar's life on February 6th at Alicia's request. After that attempt failed, Damien says Alicia hatched a new plan to take Omar's life, and this time it worked. Damien goes on to tell the court exactly how the murder unfolded.
They drive to the house so Damien could pick up the murder weapon, which was Omar's gun.
She supplied the gun that Omar had originally bought to protect himself.
Are the cameras off?
Yeah. Make it quick.
Damien returns to the car and the two drive around. When they return at 12:43, Damien hands the gun to Kirk Porteous.
Don't leave until I come back, understand?
A few minutes later, Omar comes home and walks right into the ambush.
As Omar was opening the door to the house, Kirk opened fire on Omar. He shot him 3 times in the chest.
Then, leaving Omar fatally wounded in the foyer, Kirk makes his escape. And once Damien and Kirk were both gone, Alicia dialed 911. It's a complete account of the murder from start to finish. But is it true? When it's the defense's turn, they tell the jury to consider the source.
You have somebody who is highly motivated to lie because his very life depends on it.
Then, after planting a seed of doubt in the jury's mind, the defense puts Alicia on the stand.
She was just cool as a cucumber. She was very, very strong.
Alicia is adamant that she had nothing to do with Omar's death.
She said, it was Damien. He wanted me to be with him and orchestrated this whole thing by himself.
Alicia also offers an explanation for the text she sent Damien shortly before Omar's murder. She claims her affair with Damien was still on, and she invited him over for sex.
She said I asked him to come over for a quickie while Omar was out at the store.
She can't be more sorry about the cheating, especially what it led to, which is the death of her husband.
She did seem like she regretted ever meeting Damien.
She said it over and over, this is wrong. But that is not evidence of murder. She's communicated with him just to say, look, he's not home, come now. That's it.
Will the jury agree? It only takes them 2 hours to reach a verdict.
Alicia was convicted of first-degree murder.
At Alicia's sentencing hearing, Omar's family argues for the maximum punishment.
They laid it out there. What a cruel and terrible person she was. And she killed their son, their brother, for $900,000.
Their words carry weight. The judge hands down the harshest sentence New York law allows.
He gives a sentence of life without the possibility of parole.
She just looked like a robot. She didn't look like she felt bad or she didn't look scared.
The jury also finds Kirk Porteous guilty of second-degree murder, and the judge sentences him to life in prison. As for Damien Lavelle, the man who helped set up the hit, he receives a 15-year prison sentence.
I don't care if he didn't physically do anything. He was involved, he plotted that. He helped hire the shooter. So he should have got more time.
While Damien played a role in the murder, the court rules that Alicia was ultimately to blame.
She just was using him.
He was just another pawn in her scheme.
As for Omar and Alicia's daughter, she is being raised by Omar's family, who pledged to keep his memory alive.
He's just a giver. He never asked for anything. His presence is still here, but it's just not the same. Life would be a lot better if he was still around.
The tragic death of Omar Murray serves as a stark reminder of how betrayal, anger, and a disregard for life can lead to devastating consequences, highlighting the thin line between love and hate. It's a reminder that we must question who we allow into our lives and recognize the warning signs of those with ill intentions, disguised behind dishonesty and unfathomable deceit. Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
She was finally settling down with the love of her life.
She was crazy about it.
He was her one true love.
She believed that they would be together forever.
But their forever would end far too soon.
She didn't make it. She was drowning in her own blood.
There were multiple stab wounds.
And on the wall near her body, a message from the killer.
There were these words, these hateful words.
A sister desperately searches for her sibling after her calls go unanswered. What she uncovers will immensely impact both sisters' lives forever. What happened to Selena Knight? Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast. We will see you in the next episode.